Hello, my name is Donna. Welcome to my channel. My channel is about transcending trauma, and I am right now on a 100-day journey to connecting back to self. I think I called it 100 days to finding self-worth. And I'm on day 53, which is pretty cool because that's my age. So it's like, got double meanings, like a lot of things. Wow, that's some of the stuff I want to get into. And also today is November 17th, and it's for me a pretty big day in my life. It was when I first started to awaken and also started to sleep. And we can have those paradoxes, just like the body is a temple and also a temptation, both. Like the sun is provides vitamin D and photosynthesis, and it can also burn us with its radiation. So, yeah, November 17th is a pretty, it's a remarkable day for me. So 3 years ago on November 17th, I started to awaken. And so, uh, and like I said, at the same time, go to sleep. Like even when I started taking my notes from this morning on what I was thinking about today. We're in different states of consciousness, different states of awareness all the time. We have different brain waves going on. I think it's the theta wave that when you first wake up and when you go to sleep, it's the best time to really connect to your God source, connect to God, God Yahweh, the source that's within you, that's within all of us. Of course, He's within and without, both. The way that we can more see Him clearly through, a clearer lens, putting on our God glasses, is when we can kind of clean up that fog, clean up the crystal within so that we can see through the lens clearly. And so much to share and everything's so connected. During my first big expression of Kundalini, which was November of last year, after I started my awakening. I was on the path to seeking God before that, I saw things like in such a different light, and I got to dwell for a moment in my innermost chamber with God. And it is beyond explanation, beyond what any words could describe. Pretty close, though, is Interior Castle. This is a book, Interior Castle by Saint Teresa of Avila. Oh, my computer went dark. So she talks about the different chambers and how, God and, your source, your Holy Spirit within, is just waiting in there. And I love the way she describes going through the chambers because I feel this and I experience this. That's why I say I can be awake and asleep at the same time, because there's different chambers. And there's, the interior castle she talks about, like, of course, we all always have that divinity within us. And, God is always there dwelling inside, in that inner chamber, just waiting for us. But we choose, which chamber we want to dwell in, and when we go on a journey, what a lot of people will call it ascension, it's so cool. It's as within, so without, it's like, it's so hard to explain. You're going inward, but yet you're also going outward, like I said, it's, this is our vessel. This is like a portal, access to infinity. I wanted to say about my inner chamber room that it was so intimate yet infinite, just all those paradoxes. Gosh, I don't even know where to begin, because like this so relates to everything. And I see that, I started yesterday my 49-day digital detox, which is also what I consider a walk in the wilderness. And what is a walk in the wilderness? It's, where you're choosing a path to God. You're choosing, which chamber you want to dwell in. So like she says in the book, like we all have divinity within us. And it is, we choose where we want to dwell. And the closer we get to that interior castle, like, the first chamber, there's like all sorts of things pulling us away from God, pulling us off of the path, but they're invisible to us. And as we get further into the chambers, it's like, it's so paradoxical that you can see the demons, you can see the temptation. And so it's almost like if you're fighting a monster that you can't see, it's harder to fight them because you don't know where they are. So, it's more likely that you're gonna not pass in through the next chamber. Now, once you're aware of the darkness, once you're aware of the monsters, once you're aware of Satan, and once you're aware that there's, things trying to hold you back, once you can see them, it's kind of terrifying. You can both see them, and it's also awesome because you can see them, both. So, I'm just getting so lost because there's just so much coming in that I want to share. Being able to see the demons is kind of what happened November 17th, is when I started to awaken to the patterns, and so like, even I love to meld psychology and spirituality because I really believe they mirror each other. Everything does. Everything mirrors each other, from the micro to the macro, like we even mirror each other, but the physical and the spiritual really mirror each other. So, on November 17th, I started to awaken to my own patterns, what are my patterns? That's that subconscious mind, the fog, that's like keeping me from, dwelling in my innermost space, that core authentic being, that is waiting there to be birthed, waiting to be expressed, inside of all of us, apart from these patterns. I think it was so beautiful. I fell upon a verse today in Romans 12:2 that says, instead of reading, it's almost 11:11. Darn, it should be 11:11 when I picked it up. Well, it will be while I'm talking. So good enough for me. Instead of reading my sloppy handwriting, I was going to read this. So, Romans 12:2, excuse me. So, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I'll read it one more time. Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Okay, a couple of things, like to me, that really points to those subconscious patterns. I hate when the computer goes dark. I don't like looking into the darkness. I like looking into the light, metaphorically and literally. So, that to me just speaks volumes of the subconscious mind and the patterns, and it also speaks of how things can have more than one meaning. And, like I say, this body is a temple and it's a temptation. We have to overcome it, and it's also our altar. It's also the dwelling place that we dwell with God, both, So, overcoming these subconscious patterns, overcoming these feelings of lack. So, of course, still staying humble, humility, when we seek God, we don't seek God for gifts and for consolations. We seek him because we love him and we want to be with him. And then he gifts us, it's again, like those beautiful paradoxes, we ask God to give us nothing, and he gives us everything, and, so even just there's other verses about being of the world, that means too, is that this body is of the world and also of God. You know, it's both, you know, and it's, we choose which path we're taking, which way we're going to walk within this own being. You know, it's just so amazing. So many things I want to share. First of all, I want to say when I first started praying devoutly every day, I used to ask God for things. I used to pray asking God for things, and not saying there's anything wrong. There's different prayers for different reasons, for different seasons. But, you know, my basic prayer every day would be, please, Lord, you know, give me the things that I want, Lord, you know, basically. And then I started praying with gratitude and just being grateful for what I had. Like, praise God. I am so grateful. I am so grateful for what I have. And now it's taken an even different approach. Now I pray to submit myself to him. I pray and let him know that I am his willing servant. I am his vessel, that I am here for him to express through me willingly, however he cares to, you know. And sometimes I get lost in those chambers, you know. That's those different states of awareness. Sometimes I get lost in places, but, you know, I work hard to stay found, you know. And so that's part of my journey right now. Like, for the end of this is my walk in the wilderness. And, you know, when we go on a walk in the wilderness, like, the wilderness can be defined as hard times. But, you know, I think that we all carry suffering always. And so, you know, there's usually some kind of a hard moment. But for me, it's being able to overcome the temptations of this body, which isn't just lust and, oh, you know, going out and getting drunk and being lustful and sinful, but it's also overcoming the patterns that have been, you know, imprinted upon this being, upon the subconscious mind, you know, and, you know, being able to overcome that. So, like, the walk in the wilderness for me is, yes, it's trying to dwell closer to God, trying to get as close to God as I can. I want to get to that very inner chamber and stay there. That's where I want to dwell, you know, that's where I want to live from, you know. And, you know, the wilderness, you know, the closer you draw to God, the more that it seems that darkness will try to throw you off your path. Like, are you protected always? Yes. You know, you've got that inner core there. God is within every single one of us, you know, but it's which room we're going to live in, which chamber we're going to live from, you know, and there's different demons in different chambers, you know, until you get to that inner core where, you know, you're completely protected and there's no more temptation. It's just, you can just laugh in the face of temptation. So that is what I seek, and that's my journey, and that's what I'm seeking. I have so much to share. I want to say a little bit about just about how this book, I have so many books that have stumbled onto my path that I know were from God and that were like just so profound and had just such a great impact on my life. So kind of cool, the story of how, and just this morning, just a cool, you know, synchronicity from God. I wanted to say about how this book landed, and I was going to say, and still am, that it was serendipitously, you know, and then I thought, I want to look how to say that properly. You know, I know serendipitous, but it was serendipitously. You know, it's a long word, you know, serendipitously. So I went and put in to the phone, how do I pronounce that right? And it came up with a video that had 1111 on it. It was, you know, which is Heaven's Gates. And, you know, it was like 11 million subscribers, one comment, one thumbs down or something, or there was an 1111, and it started out with an advertisement, and it said, Gigi makes the best mashed potatoes, and that is my mother's name that's passed. We call her Gigi for Grandma Gloria, or sometimes when she was being really tough on us, God Gloria. So, you know, it was like just so serendipitous, you know, that I looked up how to say serendipitously, and I got an 1111 and my mother's name, you know, it's just so beautiful. But anyway, so the way I got this book is just so funny and beautiful too. So, you know, and also about 1117, like, who would think Tinder could open up a spiritual pathway for someone, but God works in some amazing ways, you know? So 11/17, I met someone in person that really, man, tore me open, you know, but what I did with the tearing, you know, once I was open is I saw God, you know, and, but so this is a different person that I met on Tinder, and his name is Michael. I call him Archangel Michael. And he told me about this book. And when we were on our date, we talked about the Bible the whole time. He says, you know, it's a pretty rare thing when you go on a date from Tinder and you're just talking about the Bible the whole night. And he's still a dear friend of mine, you know, and shout out to you, Michael. And I just want to tell the story real quick about why I call him Archangel Michael and how he came to go by the name Michael. So his name is Michael, but he went by Mike. And when he was a young boy, he was in church, and the pastor was talking about Archangel Michael, and he just got so moved by the story, and he was like, from now on, I want to go by Michael instead of Mike. And he told his family, and no one respected it. They all still call him Mike. He's like, it's Michael, darn it. But I just thought it was so beautiful because he so resonated with Archangel Michael. And so I call him Archangel Michael. And really, Archangel Michael moved through him and got me this book. So this book is by a nun she wrote this in the 1500s. I think to even know that I can read her words from the 1500s is unbelievable. And that it was a female nun, you know, who got published and who, you know, like she had to get approval from the diocese and that, and, you know, to like even have her word be respected and that. It's just such an amazing book. I suggest it's a hard read, but the closer you get to God, the more you'll be able to read it and just understand it. You know, I've started it before and restarted it, and the closer I am on my path, the more I can resonate with her words and the easier it is to read. I someday I'm going to pick some spots and read, you know, I think I should read one part, and it's getting kind of long. I wanted to look at my notes and make sure I said everything I wanted to. Just about walking in the wilderness, I guess. I don't know. I think I said what I wanted. I'll read a little part from this, a couple little parts, and then I'll end it. But, that's what I wanted to say. Like, you know, things having more than one meaning too. Like, you know, so for me, the walk in the wilderness is like, I'm like not on social media. I'm trying to like do like Messenger even just slightly. Like there's so many beautiful people I love connecting with, but I'm trying to really just, you know, walk solo with God right now I'm doing 49 days. It's typically 40, but 49 is my favorite number to just really like keep, you know, like I want it to be me and God for right now, you know, like just trying to, you know, get rid of all these subconscious patterns and trying to really stay on purpose, you know, and just really walking that path with him. And believe me, I believe in community. I believe in connection. I really do. I'm not saying like this is like hermiting for the rest of my life. This is just like a 49-day journey to, you know, just dwelling alone with God, you know. And, you know, I have my daughters too, and, you know, I have work and stuff to do, but like as much as I can, like as, you know, as much of my time as I can just spending alone with him and trying really to keep like the external forces to a minimum because, you know, like I know I'm going to be tempted, and I'm trying to overcome temptations, you know? And so how can I overcome that? Like I'm trying to keep the external, the things I'm internalizing down to a very, you know, minimum. And I'm trying to only like read and look at things like this. Like I know I can trust the source, you know, this is from a nun that, you know, I love the way it came to me, you know, and I'm trying to just like read the Bible and books that, you know, I feel like really draw me closer to God, and trying to keep, you know, the temptations away from my being, you know, so I can break through these patterns, you know. And I wanted to even say about like people being in your life, you know, like God can send someone to you that he means for you to love. And Satan can use that same person to tempt you, both. Just like I was saying about this body is a temptation and a temple at the same time, So I just want to say, too, about Satan and whether he exists or not. The further I get on my path with God, the more I believe that there is a Satan and there is a darkness, as my computer just went dark. Metaphorical. Like people will say, oh, well, the God is within you, and the same people are saying there's no Satan. If there's no Satan, then why aren't you just dwelling in that internal house with God? There is a Satan, and the Satan keeps us from going into those inner chambers. We're tempted, and oh my, too much. Okay, I'm just going to read this from her, and then I'm going to let it go. I have so much to say. Let's see. I just want to read this part. Hold on. It was just so beautiful. This whole book is beautiful. Where was it? Okay. So she talked about the different chambers. So now she says, I thought of the soul as resembling a castle, formed of a single diamond or of a very transparent crystal, and containing many rooms, just as in heaven there are many mansions. If we reflect, sisters, we shall see that the soul of the just man is but a paradise in which God tells us he takes his delight. What do you imagine must that dwelling be in which a king so mighty, so wise, and so pure, containing in himself all good, can delight in rest? Nothing can be compared to the great beauty and capabilities of a soul. However keen our intellects may be, they are unable to comprehend them as to comprehend God. For as he has told us, he created us in his own image and likeness. I'll end with that, like how beautiful that in our inner chamber, that soul is a place that God delights to dwell. That's how remarkable we all are, And there's like, even the original sin is trying to keep us from that dwelling place. And the devil in our own subconscious that is, been, pulled into that fog by darkness, that is the darkness, the fog, And so as we get through each chamber, we're cutting through the layers of fog to get to that clear crystalline core that's inside of every being that is so glorious that God takes delight in dwelling in there, inside of you. Wow, isn't that freaking awesome? I'm just going to end with that. It's too amazing. All right, the life in me honors the life in you. Peace out. Awkward pause.